But good job. I don't think it needs to be as long as you have it. I think it's a bit too long, primarily because you have a lot of long. You have very long shots, like transition shots in between scenes. You have like a shot of like a tree or a house that will be a little bit too long. I don't think you need them that long. And it says this happened. He was the killer was never found. Whatever. You have the text showing that. What's better is text is great, but what's better always, and the same applies to a voiceover, is just show us visually because it's so easy to just type in text, but it's cooler to see it. What happens, and that way they can figure it out. And that would be kind of a cool hook. You see the beginning, like his first murder, and the very end, him committing suicide, or the whole beat up thing was a little awkward because they're just walking, and the bully's like, oh, and then or something like that. It was kind of hard to hear, and then he gets beat up, and then we don't know what happens after he gets beat up, and does he get stranded? So he's stranded there. So we don't know what happens afterwards, so that leaves a question. So you might want to show it. I mean, you don't have to show him like walking home wounded, but have it in a conversation or something like, "Oh, I'm sorry they ditched you." The music was kind of overpowering a lot of the scenes. Now the music was good, and I'm glad you didn't use the Batman Begins soundtrack, because if you did, I'd probably punch you in the face. Because not to be mean to Batman fan films members and other people, they always use Batman Begins soundtrack to score any movie. They use that soundtrack, and it's just like ridiculous. It's like, please. So I'm glad you used original music, but at the same time, the dialogue and the sound effects and all that should be higher in volume. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't mean to be mean, but the acting needed a lot of work. I think the guy who had the spiky hair was probably you, if you're Trett. The main guy who was the killer spirit, was good, and the guy with the spiky hair was really, really good, acting wise. Oh, and that's easy to cure. Just take some, I'm sure at school they have a drama club, or there's some, like for me it was Academy of Children's Theater, and there's acting classes you could take there. Or there's an acting camp, a summer camp, and you could learn how to act there. And that's always fun to do, and you can always do that, and that's just an easy way to do it. And that boom, and then there you can improve your acting skills. Like the first transition, when he transitions to the killer spirit, was good, but most of the time I thought when he transitioned to the spirit, it was just like a light switch. He was less like do 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 do. And I think a more of a transition would have been cool. Like he's like, you could tell he's changing, like the body language and everything, and posture all changes, and the eyes like do a close up or something, and then oh, Shatner, right? We can hear the camera noises, so try and get rid of that. Easy way: buy an external mic that plugs into your camera. If your camera doesn't have a mic jack, get a camera that does. If you want that shallow depth of field like movies have, where the background's out of focus, but the character isn't, you can do this with a digital camera. Back up and zoom in, and what this does is the focal length changes. Okay, so this is what happens. When you just do a close-up, like, let's say this is the camera, my fist. Okay, here's the lens. If I go like, just have the camera lens and move it close to like a subject for a close-up, it's going to create a fisheye effect. And that's because you're zoomed out, you're not zoomed in. And so it creates like a wide angle effect. So when you're really close to something, like straight lines will bend a little bit, there's some linear distortion. So if you do that for a close-up, like the nose will be huge and stuff, and that's not what you want. So if you want a really good close-up, back the camera up and zoom in. You want the wide angle stuff for like establishing shots and stuff like that. That's what wide angle stuff's for, like panoramics, pans, and the telephoto, the zooming in. That stuff's for like close-ups. And another cool thing, if you zoom in, backgrounds in the objects in the background will appear bigger. So like if you wanted to create a chase scene where like you wanted to create the illusion that a car is like really close to a character and it's really not, is you could back up and zoom in and the car will appear like it makes things flat. So like the car will appear like it's right here when in fact it's like over here or something. So you could be like, but I recommend getting a Mac and getting Final Cut Express. And if you're a student, you can get it for $150. It's expensive. Oh no, it's not actually. That's actually pretty good because it comes with 3 editors. It comes with your editor for video, which is Final Cut, and you can even do green screen. You can do so much with that. And then it comes with LiveType for animating text and stuff, and then it comes with soundtrack for making the music. And that's how Gallagher or whoever did the music did it. You use soundtrack and probably GarageBand. I use both. I don't just use one or the other. I combine them. Basically, this night scene where the guy's drinking beer in part 2, it's supposed, I can tell you shot it in the day, and there's ways you can make it look like nighttime. Okay, number 1, well, it looks more like it's dusk. Yeah, but there are ways you can do it. The one way is basically it's all, and if you have Photoshop or anything like that, there you have 3 things. You have highlights, which are your whites. You have midtones, which are in between, and then you have blacks. And what you want to do is to create something look like it's nighttime. You can either bring down your blacks, which will make the blacks like black, like true black, which is good. And then you can bring down your midtones, which will create everything in between a little dark, and it'll create like hard shadows and stuff, which is what you want because it's nighttime. And then boost up your whites a bit, and that should make it seem like it's nighttime or dark. But then when you do that, don't shoot like the sky, because the sky will look weird. It won't look like nighttime unless you do it. Well, it depends. If it was overcast, it would probably look okay. But yeah, just stuff like that I'd recommend. I thought the ending was so. For the ending, I thought would have been cooler is if you had like they find some way or find some guy, some character who knows, or someone who previously lived in the house, and could figure out, is like, oh, we need to I know of the ghost, or know of this curse, and they know some way to get rid of the curse. But then again, the twist where it's not cured is kind of good because it's not a happy ending. But I don't know, something like that. Like, why would he randomly change into his killer spirit mode? What brought that down? Like maybe showing, like at night he turns into it or something, or someone triggers it or something, or that the guy with the spiky hair figures it out. Oh, he turns into killer spirit because of this. It triggers it, or something. Would have helped. In order to cure the killer spirit, one of the dudes, like the guy with the spiky hair, the other guy who's the skeptic, would have to sacrifice their own life or something. Something dramatic like that would have been good too. But yeah, for the most part, I think it's pretty good. It's a good good go at it. So just work on it, just keep things short and simple for the most part, because you don't really need really super long shots necessarily, especially if you're exterior shots, You just need things in beats, and if it help, just stuff like that. Just, because because if you carry too long and beat, the audience will get it once like, oh, he's on a killer rampage. And if you keep that part short and then like a montage, the audience will get it. So you don't need to make that too long or something like that. So just be aware of that.